Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson. Quick review of what we just saw. Manchester United against Cadiz, or Cadiz, as they love to say on MUTV's commentary, which was grating on me a little bit, I'm going to have to be honest. Where we saw one team for the first half and then a whole other team for the second half. I actually got 10 out of 11 in my prediction. Got me talking there, didn't need that. I actually got 10 out of 11 for my predicted team, which I'm quite impressed with. The only one I got wrong was goalkeeper. Didn't expect Dubravka to be given the opportunity that he was given. And actually didn't really take it, did he? Didn't really do anything to say maybe put pressure on anybody. It was pretty poor performance from the goalkeeper, if anything. But we did see a second half. So the first half we saw Brandon Williams, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof and Tenen Mengi. A midfield that was Zidane Iqbal, McTominay and Donny van der Beek. And a forward lineup of Anthony Martial, Elanga and, interestingly, Garnacho on the right-hand side. Do we read anything into Garnacho being on the right-hand side, do you think, versus the left where he's played every single other time for Erik Ten Hag and most of his youth career as well? To be honest, I actually think there's probably at least a little bit of a something in it. I don't think Marcus can play over on the right-hand side. I definitely think he's better on the left-hand side, and I wonder if he's just seeing what sort of flexibility and all the rest of that he's got in Garnacho. It wasn't a great performance from what I would consider the stronger side from United. I thought it was a little bit flat. There was a couple of decent standout performances. I thought when he got on the ball, Garnacho did all right. He didn't really get on the ball a hell of a lot. It was nice to see Brandon Williams, but didn't really light the world up. Wan-Bissaka looked a little bit off the pace, if I'm being honest. And I would say the standout performer from the first half was probably Zidane Iqbal. Everything he did, there was a top level of quality in what he did. And it was almost like a technically flawless sort of performance from him. I was watching him really closely because I was watching it with the idea of, can he come in and be a rotation option for United this year? And I genuinely believe he can. I mean, get in the comments and let me know what you guys think. Alfie says the MUTV commentary was pronouncing it correct. I know, but we don't pronounce it. They don't pronounce Madrid like Madrid. Like, do it once for everyone, or just fucking pronounce it like Mancunians pronounce it. Because we don't also call it España, do we? Like, do you know what I mean? We call it Spain, and that's not what it's called. So, do you know what I mean? Anyway, so I actually thought Zidane was a clear standout performer. And speaking of a few of you guys on Twitter, there's a general consensus Donny van der Beek might be done out here. The level of performance that he's putting in second string sides, let's be honest, just isn't good enough. He was anonymous again against a Cadiz side who I think are 19th in the table. Now, that first team that we played, Brandon Williams has played a lot of games. Dubravka have played a lot of first-team games. Obviously, Victor Lindelof has played a lot of first-team games. Wan-Bissaka's played a lot of first-team games. Tenen Mengi hasn't. But Zidane Iqbal has made his debut as an international. Donny van der Beek was an expensive signing. Scott McTominay plays regularly. Anthony Martial plays regularly. Garnacho has now started to make his debut. And Elanga plays. That was not a horrendous representation of what Manchester United, albeit a second string, would be. And let's be honest, we completely struggled in the first half. The second half, no one should really have any sort of dramas with the performance of the team in the second half. That was literally a youth team that we put out. And for those that didn't catch the game, the team that we played in the second half, Dubravka stayed on, and we played Gerardo, Fredrickson, Bernard, Murray, Savage, Kobe Mainoo, and we'll talk about him in a sec, Harrison, Hansen, Emeran, Shoretire, and McNeil. And I was hopeful McNeil would do something, but he didn't really get the service. We were the second best team by a stretch in the second half. There was a lot of press. There was a lot of energy for the first 25 minutes or so of the second half. But the quality of Cadiz really shone. And I thought the lads struggled, but I think it'll be a good learning lesson for them. And I think they'll take away from the game quite a lot. I thought there was a lot of learning opportunities for them to come up against an opposition like that, and you wouldn't expect that 11 to do anything. I thought Deshaun Bernard looked quite composed. I like Deshaun. I don't know where he needs to jump off. He needs games. I don't think he's going to get games at United, but I like him, and he's a player that's going to have a career, championship or probably bottom half of the Premier League at least. Gerardo, again, showing why there's a lot of people highly rating him. I thought Charlie Savage looked really good. I thought the off-the-ball work that he did was fantastic. Little bit wayward with some of the passes, but also doing the extras with the passes as well. So I thought it was a decent performance from him. Harrison Ansonoran always draws the eye when you're watching him play. Emran out there doing bits, taking people on, which is what you want to see from young players. Go and try and take this chance and take the opportunity. But the one that stood out, I thought, was Kobbie Mainoo. Actually think he could have been the one, just on the basis of that little 45-minute cameo there, that makes Ten Hag actually think about, how do I fit this guy into my plans? I thought it was a really mature performance. I thought it was a level of quality there. It was a level of confidence there as well, which is always a good thing to see. Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. KJ says, I am done with Donny. I don't think you're the only one, mate. I'm seeing quite a lot of that one. SM says that off the ball work, lol, don't know what that's supposed to mean. Darko says, Iqbal very good. Martial and Garnacho showed again. They'll be in the team for the second part of the season. Of course, yeah. I barely touched on them because that's not really the point of this friendly, is it? That's kind of course. Alex says, I'm done with Ten Hag. Don't care about Donny. Strange comment. Raf says, surely Van der Beek is the most pointless signing in our history. No manager has any use for him. 40 million as well. Thanks, Ed. Wowzers. Bernard and Fredrickson look better than Lindelof. And Mengi says, MW. Donny and Wan-Bissaka have to go for their own sake. I'd be very surprised if they're still here. I would be very surprised if they were still here come the end. Dan Levy says Mainoo is class. John says Donny had a touch around 35 minutes, and I was like, oh, he's playing. Brian says Donny hasn't been good enough since we signed him. 4 managers can't get anything out of him. PN says, did Sancho play? No, Sancho didn't travel. For whatever reason that was, I'm not sure why he didn't travel. He's obviously out there doing 1v1s. Surely there would have been use for him to be with everybody else as well. So I don't know how that's not happened. Am I going to another Brazilian game? As it stands, I don't have any more tickets. And they're not easily found at the moment either. They're quite difficult to get hold of now at this point. So we will have to see. What do I make of Ten Hag? I think he's doing a fantastic job. I think he's handled all the big decisions that could have gone west for him extremely well. The handling of the Maguire situation has been flawless. The handling of the Maguire situation has been flawless. The way he handled Garnacho's lateness and attitude dramas that he had and then brought him into the team, flawless. Yeah, we've had a couple of heavy losses, but look how the ship has been steadied since then. Yeah, I would say he's been doing very, very well. Pete says, where's Bellingham going? Probably not United, but I think he would be a brilliant, brilliant signing for us. Rob says, do you think Gerardo done well for a future backup for Diogo? Yeah, that's probably what he's probably the player with the biggest opportunity in that sense, in terms of like there is zero competition for Diogo Dalot. And if he gets any sort of injury, or even if he just needs a break, Portugal could go to the final of the World Cup. They could even win it. So if that's the case, our Portuguese players are probably going to need at least a week off, wouldn't you say? And if that's the case, who's going to play right back? Because based on that today, you wouldn't be putting Aaron Wan-Bissaka anywhere near that starting position, would you? Mighty Man says Netherlands or Argentina. I've got a predictor video coming out in the morning, so for all of those questions, just check out tomorrow morning. Kipion says Iqbal is a baller, ought to get minutes before the end of the season. Yep. A couple of people talking about Ethan Laird. Well, here's the thing with Ethan Laird. So Michael Beale, who was the manager at QPR, that's been playing Ethan at the moment, he's now left and joined Rangers as first team boss. So after doing a pretty good job with QPR, a new manager comes in, doesn't quite fancy Laird, doesn't get played, you've got a problem. I'm not sure that'll happen because I think Ethan's very well thought of there, but it is a risk. I would try and bring him back and make him the backup at United, I think. Which player surprised me the most, good or bad, says ETH. Donny van de Beek surprised me because honestly, I don't know how many chances someone can get, and because he was shocking. And Emeran surprised me probably the most. Emeran and Gerardo, actually, I would say. They probably surprised me. I knew Savage had what he had in him. I was a little bit disappointed in McNeil, but not because of anything he did. I just don't think he was able to get in the game because the amount of possession that the opposition held, and United were limited to just nothing shots in the second half, wasn't they? So we have another game. We'll see what it'll be. He'll get another go, but I would love to see him take that opportunity that when it comes. John says Zidane and Mainoo are both good, real options for us going forward. Garnacho also looking like he has a big future. It's the confidence that Garnacho plays with. I love it. Absolutely love the confidence that he has. That level of confidence, I think, is absolutely lethal and such a positive. Joshua says, get McNeil playing in the cup games. Lad is very talented. This is the one, in it. What do we do with this Burnley game? It's literally like, is it a week tomorrow? No, it's not, is it? So it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks tomorrow. Just... What sort of 11 can you put out in that? It's probably going to look very much like that first half. Jed says, to be honest, I spent more time watching a paddock watch along than the actual game. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was the best game of football I've ever seen because it was far from it, wasn't it? But it's essentially a pre-season game. And sometimes in pre-season, the lads have been doing tour-a-days. The fitness isn't quite there. They're working on specific stuff. It's one of those, isn't it? What do I think about a potential Donny swap plus money for Gakpo? If Ajax would have him back, it'd probably be the best move for Donny's career because it ain't happening for him in the Premier League, I don't think, at all. Nanu says DVB is finished. I don't see him coming back. He was an expensive flop. Up to accept it. Let him go to Ajax and get Timber in. We can't just shop at Ajax, you know. We have to go to other shops. Bruno says pre-season December. Yeah. Look, this is a unique situation with the World Cup being in November and December. So yes, it is pre-season in December because it is like a mini pre-season break with a little bit of a camp. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. PSV, not Ajax, but yeah. Gakpo, PSV. What's it at Ajax? Ralph says United playing a friendly in December in the middle of the World Cup. We are living in some strange times. It's been a strange few years, hasn't it? When am I doing a meetup? That's a good point, actually. So if you are in Qatar, I'm probably going to do a meetup at the Go inside the Meridian on Sunday. I need to speak to them and find out what time they are open. But I would think Sunday afternoon, let's say 3 or 4, something like that. So if you're interested in that, message me on Instagram. And it's just a hangout, so it's gonna be free. There's not going to be any sort of event. We're just going to have some food and some to drink, and jobs are good. And so if you're in Qatar, the Go inside the Meridian, it's on the first floor. Well, it's on a mezzanine if you want to get technical. But it's a nice little sports bar that's in there. So if you want to come and join me, come and join me. Brian, should United try and get Ramos? Well, I said we should have got him in the summer, and no one listened, as usual, did they? But yeah, he's had a good performance. Did I see Gakpo's comments on United? No, I didn't. Write them down. What's he said? Ben says, what do I make of Ramos watching live? Good enough for United. I think he's 21, right? So there is a lot of growth room in him. But like I said in the summer, he's got a knack of hitting the ball at weird timings. Greenwood had the same thing where there's barely any backlift. Like sometimes you see a really deliberate run up and you can time when a striker's going to hit something. With Ramos, he's just sort of like turning and hitting it, and there's serious power generated, and you're like, fucking hell, where's that come from? But to be honest, it was a difficult watch. If you've not seen my vlog, definitely go check out my vlog. But the angle of where we were watching, I don't want to sit there ever again, to be honest. I like watching from the sides, from the sideline. That is the best view. Where I am in the Stretford is high up, so you get a nice tactical view. I was literally pitch level behind a goal. It was super fucking difficult to see what was going on the far side of the pitch. So yeah. Am I doing a Q&A on Patreon today? I am recording it tomorrow because I can't believe how long today took. So last night I didn't finish. I mean, it's 12:30 at the moment. I didn't finish work till 3 a.m. this morning, and I was up again at 7 to go and get the beard sorted out because I looked fucking absolutely feral. I've sorted the beard out. I sorted the haircut out. Nice Kenyan barber that I got. So I got that sorted out. I did a quick trip to the mall, got some stuff, had some lunch, went out into the desert for like 6 hours. It was fucking epic. If you've not seen some of the stuff I've been putting on Instagram, go check it out. It's wicked. There'll be a very, very fucking funny video coming out from that. We've done like a dune bashing where you basically just rag a Land Cruiser all over the dunes. Joel nearly cried. It was genuinely fucking hilarious. And then we went out to the inland sea. Basically, you can see Saudi Arabia from where we went and watch the sunset. Oh, it was fucking epic. It was an epic day. But then it took like an hour and a half to drive home. And then by the time I got home, something to eat. And United were playing. It's just finished at midnight. I've just gone live. And tomorrow is another fucking absolutely full-on day. So I'm recording the Q&A with Patreon tomorrow because I thought I would have time today and I clearly didn't. Tomorrow we are up. I mean, I'm up at 8 tomorrow. So I should get 7 hours hopefully tonight. I'm checking out a grassroots academy in Qatar. So I'm going watching some kids train. So if you're into that sort of stuff, you want to know what's going on with the grassroots in Qatar, then talk to me and I will do my best to show you. But you know, I'm trying to go and see what's going on. Now, I did ask our driver today that took us around. I was asking him all sorts of questions because I want to find out about where I've gone. And a lot of you guys are saying, "Oh, go do the touristy stuff, go do that." So what we did today was very touristy. Rode a camel, fucked about in the dunes, took some photos, went and did whatever. And that's apparently like the best thing to do in Qatar. Genuinely, that's like, what should we do while you're in Qatar? Go do this. And I was saying to my driver, so you've seen the souk that we've been. So that's a 19th century souk that was built in 2006 because the other one burnt down in a fire. So me and Rio was walking around it the other day and I was like, is this old or is this Alton Towers old? Because it looks like it's been washed. Does this make sense? Like it's been washed with dirt to make it look older, but it looks new. Like, you know, authentic. Like if you've ever been to York, that shit's old. You've ever been to certain parts of London and even certain parts of Manchester, that shit's old. This didn't feel old. And my spidey sense was correct. It was built in 2006. Have I met any Qatari people yet? No. That I don't even know if Qatari people exist. And I was talking about that to my driver as well. Qatari people don't work, or they certainly don't work in jobs where they mingle with the public. So I was asking him, where can I go and find real Qatari buildings? Where is there a village? Is there a fishing port? Is there anything that I can go and see that's old? And he was like, no. There used to be some villages like in the north, but they've basically knocked them all down. Everything in Qatar is brand new. And I think that's sad, isn't it? Does no one think that's sad? I think you really connect to a place by, like, why am I going to connect to anywhere if it's just some fucking shiny glass building that looks like it could be in Manhattan or London or Dubai? Like, where's the real authentic Qatar? I don't even know if it exists. So it's very hard to connect to a people, very hard to connect to a country when all you're seeing is essentially Western architecture that's cost billions. So yeah, I'm not, I haven't enjoyed that aspect of it. It's beautiful, and for my birthday on Monday, we went and had a fucking couple of drinks overlooking the Waldorf Astoria and the little bay that was in front of that, and like, visually, like I've seen some fucking brilliant sights while I've been out here. It's genuinely beautiful, but you're like, it's all brand new. This could be anywhere. This literally could be anywhere. There's nothing that ties this to Qatar as a place. Anthony says, sorry, but the idea there is a thriving football culture in Qatar and that the stadiums will be used is a joke, all about corruption. I got no dramas with agreeing with that whatsoever, but what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go check it out. Hopefully, these kids might be local. They might be the children of immigrants. I have no idea at the moment. I'm going checking it out, and I'm trying to do the due diligence of actually trying to put myself out there and go and see what it's all about. And Aleta says it is a new country. It's not, though. This part of the world has had civilization in it for hundreds of thousands of years. Qatar as a place is not a new place. This has been a place where people have lived for thousands of years. Like, that's what's frustrating about the place. Anthony says that's the reason I have no interest in visiting Dubai. I've been Dubai in the last 3 weeks more than I ever want to go back to Dubai. I can sort of see the attraction of living in Dubai, but to me, Dubai's just got a little bit of a seedy sort of vibe to it. Does that make sense? GB says it should have been Qatar and a couple of other countries like the UAE/Oman and really shown what the region is like. That might not have been a terrible idea, but I think some of the negative press that Qatar has got has come from other parts of the region. Saudi is very popular, very powerful, both in media and geopolitically. And the likes of Abu Dhabi and Dubai are, these places are all competing with each other for everyone's attention and tourism. So it wouldn't surprise me if people had put negative stories out there about Qatar. Not that there isn't anything negative about Qatar. There's definitely a hell of a lot negative about Qatar. But it wouldn't surprise me if some of the reason why it's in the media more so, like, why was there none of this about the Beijing Olympics, for fuck's sake? Why was there none of this about Russia? Do you know what I mean? Annihilator says it declared independence in 71. Okay, but in terms of the paperwork, it might be a new country, but that doesn't mean that everything pre-1971 got fucking bulldozed, although it actually might have done, got bulldozed and then they resurrected a new country. Rome was literally a country before it was part of Italy. That didn't mean that they just fucking launched it all and then built some new shit and was like, anyway, this is Rome. Notch says, definitely go to Egypt or Morocco if you want to visit a souk. I've been to Morocco. I actually liked Morocco. I did like Morocco. I haven't been to Egypt. It's definitely one of the places that I want to go visit. Ben says most Arabian tribes are nomad. Their culture is mostly literature. Yeah, but there's always been. You're absolutely correct. Bedouin tribes exist across the area, but like there's still been a lot of buildings and shit like that been built by a lot of these. Yash has a souk like the market. A souk is a market, yeah, but I think it's probably a little bit more than just a market. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. Unrelated, but how good was Hakimi's pen yesterday? How good was Hakimi's performance yesterday? As I was watching it, I was saying to Joel, it's fucking best right back in the world. Jess says, honestly, my big worry with your time there is I'm there with Rio and have access to more of the elite side than most and could forget the non-elite side. Elite side of what? Exactly. Also, I ain't seen Rio in about fucking 5 days. Darko says his next season pre-season planned with Paddock FC in Austria, maybe, or is it pre-planned? Or next pre-season in Austria, maybe, or is it already pre-planned? I would come and watch you guys. the chances of us being able to afford to take the lads away is extremely slim unless a sponsor comes in and takes the entire cost. That's the truth. We might be able to go somewhere in the UK, but even that might be stretching the purse strings a little bit on it. Notch says, in the souk in Qatar, could you barter prices? I think you could, yeah. I haven't bought anything in there. I've had a walk around and a bit of a look, but I haven't bought anything there. The next 4 days for me looks pretty much like this. So tomorrow we're going to the academy. I think there might be something earlier than that as a recce for some of the next vlogs that we're doing. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm at the academy, nice and early doors in the morning. After that, I'm coming back here and I'm packing up because I've got a flight to catch in the afternoon. Off to Dubai again. Friday, I'll be in Dubai filming the last episode of Real and Patrice Reacts with Patrice, funnily enough. Saturday, get back. Don't know what I'm doing, so I'm literally going to miss the 2 matches that are on Friday. One of them's at the stadium here as well, which I'm a bit pissed off about. Try and get hold of some tickets for Saturday. I honestly would rather go watch Portugal, Morocco, but I'll be grateful of any tickets I can get my hands on. Do a bit of content following that. Saturday morning, I'm hoping to get to the beach. I haven't done any sunbathing while I've been here, and I'm going to try on Saturday morning. I think it's the only sort of day that I can get myself over there. So I'm going to try and get to the beach on Saturday morning before we go to the game. Sunday, we're doing Vibe with 5. I think it's usually around 11, 12. After that, we will do a meetup if you're in the area. So if you are in Qatar, please DM me on Instagram. And even if you're just listening, or you can pass it on to anyone who you knows there, you think want to come at the meetup. It'll be probably 3 or 4 o'clock at the Goat Bar in the Meridian Hotel. So one of those. Have I learned something new since I've been in the Middle East? Not at the front of my mind, I haven't. Alex says, what's my favourite stadium and why is it Al Bat? Al Bat would have been my favourite stadium if it wasn't the one that I keep fucking going to. That's where England are playing again this week. It's a fucking piss take. Anthony says, if you can find a beach that isn't fenced off and costs a fortune. That beach is 15 quid, but apparently you get food and drink with it, so I'm going to go to that one. Even if I've got to pay because it looks like a very nice one. John dropped in a super chat and says, happy birthday the other day. Have a rum on me when you get back. Thank you very much, bro. Yeah, for a beer out here, it's been costing anywhere between 13 and 17 quid. But yeah, that's a bit spendy, isn't it? So yeah, that's how it's been rocking and rolling. But I've certainly enjoyed it. You know, if I don't go to any more games, I'm grateful enough to have gone to the ones that I've been able to get to. Andrew Corbett says, which pundit or ex-pro that we've met has surprised you the most? I'll mention this one, but it's not new, and it shouldn't necessarily surprise you because I probably mentioned it at least in passing a couple of times, but it's Alan Shearer. Alan Shearer on BBC Match of the Day is not the Alan Shearer that isn't on BBC Match of the Day. And the guy that isn't on Match of the Day is a fucking hoot. And I don't know how he gets himself to be himself, but if he does, like, he would be everybody's favourite pundit. He would. Notch says, so Al Bat is a new Wembley. England always get away with it. Yeah. Jed said, any word of English fan trouble? Haven't heard anything as the lack of alcohol contributed to better behaviour. The atmosphere is a very friendly atmosphere across the board. It is a very positive sort of atmosphere. I haven't heard of any trouble, not just with England fans, but with any fans. None at all. I haven't seen it. I haven't felt it like it might go off at any point. Even after teams have been absolutely snotted, they've just gone home. There hasn't been like any sort of aggro with it. I just found it to be like quite a friendly sort of atmosphere all around, to be honest. Anthony Jarvis says, Steve, can you give Jenners a lot more shit next time you're with him? Let him off way too lightly. Jenners is sound as well. Talking Muses, happy birthday, loving the content of the fucking paddock. Thank you, mate. Harrison says we were well shit tonight. I'm not necessarily going to argue with that. Have I seen Graham Souness? I haven't seen any. I tell a lie. I saw Joe Cole in a club. Was it last week? It might have been last week. Was it Thursday last week? Wednesday, Thursday last week? I saw Joe Cole in there. And Robbie Keane was with him as well. But no, I haven't seen Graham Souness. I did text Gary Neville, and he has pied me. I'd love to see Roy Keane, but we'll see how it goes in it. Hopefully, we've got some good guests coming on Vibe with 5 with Sunday. I don't know how many episodes we've got left. It is after every England game, but I think there's only one more England game, if you know what I'm saying. Notch says, is it more of a middle class of England fan that have afforded to go there, though? Not sure, actually. I actually saw Rory Jennings today. Me and Joel were standing outside a hotel, and he was like, wow, doesn't that guy look like Rory Jennings? And I stood there and went, it fucking is Rory Jennings. Is it more of a middle-class fan? I don't know. So when we was in the stadium the other day, I always like to, I love looking at the names on the flags, and it's just, it might as well just be League One only that you see on England flags, which makes me laugh for some reason. I feel like it's probably the same sort of crowd that generally follows England all the time. Did I watch any of the Australian games? I didn't, actually. Why hasn't Paddy been in Qatar? Because he lives in Dubai, I guess. Would I even talk to Souness? Says Tyler. Who was Rory there with? Rory was just walking down the street on his own. Would I talk to Souness? I feel like I wouldn't be able to help myself. I would have to go and ask him, are you fucking serious? Or are you on some sort of like perpetual wind-up? Because I don't think he can be serious. B. Hugh says, the visa system working well in my theory. / people who will kick off, no, not to bother. So very interesting thing on touting and on the visa thing. So you have, I'm going to put my thumb over it so no one tags my screen, the QR code, just because the internet's a fucking wild place and you never know. So basically there's a QR code there. Let's see if you actually see if I can. So there's a QR code there where my thumb is. Your match tickets are also on the app. So you click show me your match tickets. And we've had some tickets that are paper tickets. I'm trying to find some. So I've had some tickets that are paper tickets. And I've had some tickets that are electronic tickets. So you can see on there past events. I've had 3 of them that have been paper tickets. If you get any more tickets, they pop up in there. And then there's a QR code that they scan. And they have to scan your Heya card, which is the app, which is this. They scan that, and then they scan your ticket. And all of that has to kind of match. So I don't think you can like sell on tickets. And that's kind of making it difficult to sort of get hold of tickets as well. I don't think you can sell tickets on. They're either in your name or they're not. And then it's linked to your app. Or you can get all the paper tickets, but the paper tickets have been from like sponsors and things. So that's how we've been getting hold of them. People that we've worked with on Five and stuff like that. So that's literally the only way we've been able to get all the tickets. I don't think the stadiums are quite as full as they're saying they are. And there seems to be, I don't know. It's a weird crowd. There's obviously a large section of each each country has been given a right load of tickets, and that's why there's been such good ends that I've fucking loved getting stuck into. I have absolutely loved getting stuck into it where it's been going off in the ends. David says, Bruno plays on the right of a front three for Portugal. Do I see Ten Hag playing him further up? Move Rashford as a striker? Maybe. He's been used there for us in the past, and I think one of the best attributes of him is his crossing. Wait. Hang on. Sorry. Raf's just put, did I see Mitten's article on Ollie? He's watched back all of the 170 games he managed at United. No, I think I'm going to have to check that one out. Notch says, is the final sold out? I keep hearing that it isn't, but so to get a ticket, to go and get a new ticket, you have to go through the FIFA app. And so this is the FIFA app. I can't get on it from the screen that I'm on. But basically, you can go onto the FIFA app and apply for tickets through your Heya. They're kind of linked. It's like a 15-minute wait, again, to like the concert thing, so you can't just fucking steam in there and get all the tickets. There's a bit of a lock on them to get in there. And I've been checking periodically, and some of the camera guys that are out with us have been getting tickets that have been put back on and officially boxed off. So it's interesting. I think the visa thing has been pretty effective. It's a bit of a faff, and it's definitely a bit of a faff to apply for it. But yeah, I think it's one of those, isn't it? Would I make any changes for the England game? My preview will be out Friday, so you'll see what I would want to do. Which team has the best support? Argentina or Brazil? Probably. I think. Jez says there's always quite a few empty seats on the TV, particularly around the halfway line, presumably VIPs with nobody showing up. Probably. Yeah, probably. Some of the sponsor ones that we've had, there's been like 90% of the row that we're on. And you can only assume that the rest of the row that you're on is sponsor ones, but they've been empty. Darko says, I've heard that they're giving free tickets to people to fill up the stadiums more. I don't know if true. Well, this could be incredibly assumptuous, but as an observation, there is a lot of Indian England fans that I've been seeing at the England games. I don't know if it's just because I've been noticing it more because I've been to more England games than anything else. But I've also seen those rumours that a lot of the migrant workers have been getting free tickets, which I think on one hand is a massive positive. When you think of all the bad things that you keep hearing about the maltreatment of the migrant workers, then them getting match tickets obviously doesn't make up for if there's truth to the sort of maltreatment of them. But maybe it's not quite as bad as it's being portrayed by a lot of the media. Some people have been telling me what the BBC's coverage of it has been like, and it sounds like it's been very one-sided and not open to seeing what it's genuinely like. It could be that they're just giving free tickets to people as part of coming there and working. People are going to want to try and paint it as the nefarious. They don't want the stadiums to look empty, and that might be true. I have no way of knowing. But my observation was that when I've been to the England games, there's been a hell of a lot of sort of like, Southern Asian sort of England fans, all wearing the Snide England shirts, all wearing a flag, which you might think that's a bit on top. If they've got free tickets, wouldn't they just go to the game rather than getting like all dressed up? But don't know. Just saying what I'm seeing. Mighty Man says it could also be because there's a lot of Indians and India's national team isn't that good. That could be the case. Yeah, it's just, I've been to Brazil, Korea, Uruguay. Didn't really see it in those games, but really, really saw it with the England game. Darko says Morocco support has been superb. I've not been to a Morocco game. Like I said, I'd love to go to the Morocco game that's on Saturday. That'd be a class one. Jed says you should try use your media badge to blag my way into a game. My media badge is not as powerful as you think it is. So, can you see what it says? Let me see what you can see. So, Stephen Howson, 5 UK, obviously 5 channel, Rio's channel. And it's got FFF, which is the FIFA Fan Festival, which is the fan park. So I can go to the fan park for free. HCM, don't actually know what that means. The camera badge is the important one because that's the one where I can film kind of anywhere and it's all right. If you haven't got... Joe, when the guy got like pulled over and he's like, I've got the correct badge, that's the badge he was showing him is the camera badge. MM means media area, which is basically the media centre. But every match that I've taken my camera in, have I got my GoPro to hand? No, I haven't. It's downstairs. So my GoPro, every single time you go through security at the stadium, someone grips my GoPro and goes, "This isn't allowed in," and then I show them that, and a couple of people have a conference about it, and then I get let in. So that's been very useful. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do the vlogs. But the vlogs have been going down really well, haven't they? Which I'm pleased about. Pinch says, I went to Euro 96 game at OT and there was plenty of empty seats. Cost me 50 quid too. I think I went to 3 or 4 games in Euro 96. But yeah. Sue Family says, the behaviour isn't due to lack of beer. It's because people fear what might happen if they misbehave. Yeah, but look at Russia. Do you think the Russian police would be all nice to you, or would they levy you? There was still trouble in Russia. Ralph says, when I ask him about some stories at Juventus, I think he's got a few good ones. Interesting. Abdul says, some countries such as the UAE have harvested many tickets trying to screw up Qatar politics in football, unfortunately. Is that true? How much for a haircut over there? It was a little bit more than I'd pay in England. ETH says, the vlogs have been great. Are we going to do future tournaments? There's a plan with us from 5 that we're not just going to go to the Euros in 18 months, actually, isn't it? Or the USA World Cup, but we're trying to put together a plan that actually delivers what we think could be the best football YouTube channel. We've got people who work with us that was part of Copa 90. Obviously, I experienced the tournament as part of YouTube really for the first time. I guess it was probably a little bit of the Brazil one, to be honest, but I think the one I really felt the most part of was on the Football Republic 2016 Euros, and I thought that covered it really well because it had a lot going on with it, and if we can do what I would like us to do going into those tournaments, there'll be a very comprehensive coverage that delivers what the best of, in my opinion, 5 is all about, and 5 is all about meshing ex-pros and fans together on a level where Sky Sports, BT Sport, BBC, and all of the YouTube channels differ. Is one is very much fan and sort of independent creator led, and one is very much ex-players, and there is like a barrier in between those things, and there's never any crossover. Whereas what I think is beautiful about what 5 does is we're sitting there talking to ex-pros as fans, and I'm not wearing a suit. Like, if I was on Sky, I'd have to have a shirt and tie on and a blazer. And why? I go to the match in a t-shirt. I might wear a fucking stupid bucket hat. That's how I go to the game. So why do I need to pretend I fucking go like I'm going to an interview to go to the match? You know, we had Gary Lineker on the other day. I'm sitting there in a fucking bucket hat like I've just come back from a rave. And no one says, what the fuck are you wearing? You get to be you. No one tells you what to say. No one asks you to fucking come up with any sort of fucking agenda. We sit there and we say what we feel like saying. And you know, Rio not once has gone, hang on, how many fucking Premier League games have you played in? Which he could do every single video. He could be like, what the fuck do you lot know? But he doesn't. And I think that's what makes it so good. And I think I would like us to do more of what Copa 90 was great at before it just became like an advert channel. I would like us to capture sort of the mood and the fun that we had on TFR. And I would like to mix that all in with bringing in the knowledge and the experience and the treat of talking to some of these ex-pros as well. And have them be themselves. Like we were talking about with Shearer before. Can you imagine we could bring Shearer in as part of 5? I don't think it's possible, but can you imagine we could bring someone like Alan Shearer in as part of 5 and have him be himself properly? It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Ralph says, as an American, I should be excited for the next World Cup, but I'm not. 48 teams, a piss-taking money grab. Yeah, I think it actually is going to be a fucking horrible World Cup purely on the back of the 48 teams. North America can host a tournament like nobody, I'm sure. That's not going to be a drama. But the 48 teams is wank. Abhinav says, City accused PSG of an agenda on their investigation into FFP because of Qatar and UAE don't get along. There's probably a lot of that. Ant says, I feel like the less formal stuff, especially compared to the overlap style format. That's it. I think, to be fair, I've missed out the overlap. But the overlap have done it quite well as well. But even on the overlap, there's still almost like it feels like you're being brought on to be part of the show rather than like all sat on the same kind of level. Does that make sense? Does it come across like that? Pinch says, thoughts on Jan Sommer, good with the ball at his feet, but last night wasn't great. Last night wasn't a good advert for him, was it? Was not a good advert for him last night. I saw that we were linked to him. I half thought, I wonder, is this a bit of SEO grab? And it might have been. View from the Stand says, at a conference a few weeks ago, and experts reckon the use of influencers as alternative commentator options is one of future aspects of broadcasting. Any talk of this in your circles? No, obviously I've got to keep some of our plans confidential for now, but all I'll say is if we can deliver what we are planning to deliver for the Euros hopefully be a bit of a test run of what we do in the World Cup. If we can deliver what we are writing down and aiming to deliver, I don't know if you'd be watching the likes of BBC and ITV for your coverage, except for the broadcast, because maybe one day, I mean, maybe YouTube itself has got the ability to pull TV rights in. You would think YouTube has got the pull to do that, surely. And it wouldn't be geo-locked. It could literally just go out to everybody in the world. And everyone in the world with a device could watch it. It took me like 2 weeks to be able to find an app that I could use to be able to broadcast the football over here. Notch says the overlap feels like the players versus the fans. I could see that. Do I ever have any hesitation before I ask outlandish questions? No. What I want to see you wearing that if I ever interview Fergie. Now, listen, if I interview Fergie, I'm going to dress smartly out of respect. And that's not to say I don't respect Gary Lineker. I absolutely respect Gary Lineker. But this is Fergie. And that's different. B. Hugh says, you see with highlights, Google is powerful as fuck. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. This isn't me giving you any sort of inside info. This is me just spitballing. I wouldn't be shocked if YouTube at some point decides to try and buy the rights, especially with it going to America. You got to remember, LAFC were literally sponsored by YouTube at one point. You know that there's things moving with Apple. I wouldn't be shocked ahead of the American World Cup if broadcast rights didn't end up on YouTube. Now, does that mean like some of the larger channels like 5 would be able to get probably not live broadcast rights, and also the team that you need to be able to do proper broadcast? I don't think you understand. It's probably 200 people involved in broadcasting a match. So I don't know if 5 would ever even have the budget to do that. But a highlights package, you could probably do that, I imagine. Like the operation here for BBC is enormous. And I don't know how much of that is their own operation and how much of it they just get fed. Like all the cameras that are in the stadium, they're like, there's a central feed that kind of goes out to every broadcaster, don't they? So I don't know, maybe you could have that broadcast and then just cut to your little studio or pitch side. I wouldn't be surprised to see 5 pitch side at the World Cup, the next World Cup. Just doing that sort of shit there. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Deb says, great content as always. Nice to hear about the plans for 5. How do we differentiate what goes on 5 versus what goes on Paddock? It's quite simple, to be honest. Paddock is obviously Manchester United focused, and 5, it's not necessarily my contacts that are bringing things together on 5. So I have a little bit of a hand in the planning on 5, more of a hand in the planning on Paddock. And when guests are being lined up, rarely is it me that's organising a guest for 5. There's people with more powerful phone books than I. I don't think you have to put 2 and 2 together with who. Steven says, how's the Paddock been getting on while I've been away? I think that we've had 2 games, right? 1-2 out of 2 so far. Mister says, Amazon football coverage is great. Always enjoy their format and who they bring in for talks. I agree. I thought Amazon have been a real good one. This is interesting. View from the Stands, YouTube already hold rights in other countries. Brazil, for example. There we go. I would not be shocked. I really wouldn't. Amazon's also going to be a big player in this, I would think, at some point. Thoughts on the whole media losing their minds over Brazil dancing? I think it's hilarious. For me, this is fucking tournament football. Like, we were literally sitting in that Brazil game going, this is iconic. That dance, these goals, This is Bebeto in '94. These are the moments that live forever. That dance is going to be one of the things that I guarantee they've all lost their fucking minds over that dance. But that dance is in the first 3 clips of their like World Cup roundup sort of highlight video that they do. It's within the first 3 scenes. Scene number 1 will be a fan. Scene number 2 will be whoever lifts it. Scene number 3, that fucking dance. I guarantee it. Dan says, do I think Portugal and likes of Benfica are overlooked for praising how they develop players and move them on? Dortmund are obviously famous for it. Don't think Benfica get praise. I'm trying to plan some stuff for next season, and I want to do some documentaries, and I've come up with a title for one of the documentaries at the moment. I'm not going to go any deeper than the title and maybe the strapline. So, because some people, especially if they're not British, might not understand the reference for it. So, the title of the first sort of documentary that I want to do is Windrush FC. And the strapline is the legacy of Caribbean footballers on English football. So that's the first documentary that I want to do. I've been watching a lot of a guy called Johnny Harris. Let me know in the comments if you watch a guy called Johnny Harris. I love the way he presents quite journalistic videos, and I would like to move more towards doing that sort of video. I'll always do these little lives. I enjoy these lives, chatting to you guys back and forward. I get a lot back from chatting to you guys. But one of the things I want to do is produce longer form, higher quality videos, because one of the gripes that I have about the sort of content that we do is it's 24 hours and it's like fire and forget. And I don't want to do that. I want to make stuff that lasts a lot longer than that. So Johnny did a really good video literally talking about some of the problems with Qatar. I'll get the title of the video for it. In fact, I will put it into the chat because it's that good. It needs to be watched by you guys. So let me just get it up for you because it is top tier quality. It's called What Qatar is Hiding, and it is, how long is this video? I think it's 30 minutes, 32 minutes. Just fucking watch it. I'm going to throw it in the chat there now, so check that out. That's the link right there. So the Windrush FC is a documentary I want to do, and I'm very, very inspired by the style that Johnny Harris has done that video that I've just posted into the chat. Sam says, I've seen it. Fucking great article. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. The Dan says, McCullough's Asian football piece. Yep, again, Mac loves making that sort of shit. I love making that sort of shit. And I want to make more of that sort of shit. Abhinav says, I do. Yeah, Harris is great. Brian says, Johnny Harris is excellent content. That's what I want to do. So what brought this into Benfica? Right, yeah. So someone messaged me the other day and said, I've got an idea for you. And it's to have a look which country has had the most impact in world football. And he says, we're going to have to come up with a way to sort of measure that, but he thinks it'd be a really good topic, and I agree. And I was like, right, all right, let's put that one on the list. So Windrush FC, sweet, we're going to do that one. I'm going to try and get that done in the first quarter. The next one I want to do is either that, there's something on the academy ones, but I think something on that sort of, there's a few teams, I'd say Ajax, Dortmund, Benfica for sure are one. In the past it would have been Lyon, but maybe Lille at the moment. There's a few teams that are just quietly going about creating a fucking overwhelming percentage of the top level footballers. Deb says, over here in the US, we use YouTube TV as a substitute for cable. YouTube has contracts with, say, Fox to stream some of the matches on YouTube TV. There you go. It feels like something could happen there, doesn't it? Happy says, great to see you, Steve. Are we overhyping Bellingham because he's going to hurt when he goes to Liverpool? No, if they sign him, they've signed a great player. And that's going to suck, but you know, it's one of them, innit? Krista says, do I think the 2026 coverage will be less USA bias? I cannot stand the content and bias of Fox coverage. Don't watch it then. That's all my suggestion, unless you're in America and you might have no fucking option. But I wonder, with how people have talked about the the social problems in Qatar, will the same sort of social problems, will they talk about the racism, the abortion problem, the firearm problem, will they talk about all these things in America as well? Or is that just a problem because it's in the Middle East? That's what's going to be interesting. Scott says, agree, Johnny Harris videos are brilliant, so informative. And IR says that Harris video looks class already. Would love to see that sort of content from me/Paddock. That's where I want to take it. That's where I want to take my own channel, is into that sort of content. I think my channel's big enough now where if I did do that sort of stuff and I had the thing is, you've got to have a good topic and it's got to have a good hook, and you've actually got to uncover some stuff. You can't just Wikipedia article this shit. You actually need to go and maybe get some of your own original content to do this, and that takes time, that takes money, and that sort of filming is going to take a hell of a long time, but I'd like to get in the mix with that. IR says that Harris video looks to have seen that one. Casey says YouTube TV is just a provider. Content is still Fox and still shite. That's why I use a VPN. Chappie says, I hope they do as an American. I'm sick of people trying to pretend that we are this perfect, amazing place. Duane says, they will not talk about those problems in the US since it's happening in the West. How's my tan going? It's struggling, you know, because a lot of this is not a complaint. Please don't take this as a complaint. It's just a statement. Because a lot of the games are finishing at midnight, and if you go to those games, like the Germany game the other day, I didn't get home till 3 a.m. and I didn't go out afterwards either. I literally just went home, and it took that long to get away from the stadium. It was 3 a.m. before I got home. So you get home at 3 a.m., you don't immediately fall asleep. You got to kind of like unwind, sort yourself out. So you're looking at like a 4 a.m. nod off really before you get to sleep. And then if you're up, even if you're up at 9 a.m., it ain't a lot of sleep. So you kind of wake up in a little bit of a haze and you don't really get going. And sometimes like we might just get a taxi straight to the studio. You'd be in the studio for a couple of hours, you come out of there. Before you know it, it's 2:30. You've got an hour left of proper sunlight before the sun goes down. So it's been difficult to actually go and get a tan on, which is why Saturday morning I am going straight to the beach. I'm just going to fucking lie there all day. Chris with a super chat says Puskas and Hungary's influence in the 60s would be good. Well, actually, there's a lot of stuff that England has done with, you know, there's a lot of Italian football has got English roots. There's Athletic Bilbao, of course, has got English roots. Sao Paulo and a couple of other, I think it's Sao Paulo at least, Corinthians for sure, have got English roots. There's some of the ones in Argentina have got English roots. So Victorian England exported a hell of a lot of football to the world. Where did that influence end? And you know, is that influence anywhere near as impactful as, say, a Johan Cruyff, the Vic Buckinghams? You know, that's where it's Rinus Michels. Like, is it as impactful as those guys? That's what's going to be interesting. Hanson says, why are we talking about the US so much? Stop it. Because that's where the next World Cup is. You know, we're talking about what's going on with the World Cup here now. That's one of those, isn't it? Loco says, how hard is it to get handicapped or caretaker seats at the World Cup? Interested in driving to Atlanta in 26 to see a match. Whatever the situation is here won't be the situation in America. It'll be a totally different ticketing system, I'm sure. There's been quite substantial disabled seating areas. I was sat just in front of one at the game the other day. How easy the access is to get those tickets, I have no idea. But it seems like there's, you know, adequate amount of facilities in there. So I would hope that you can get in there and go and see the mix. What his face says, how Bilbao operates is fascinating and still mixing it. Yeah, I love what Bilbao do. It might not be for everybody, but I genuinely love what Bilbao do because they stand for something. Anthony says, English expats' influence on international football clubs would be a good title. Mohammed says, you always ask yourself, how does Qatar improve employee conditions after the report from The Guardian or not? Yeah, I don't know enough about what... Qatar's a weird gaff because obviously they built all these stadiums and it almost feels like they did it because they could. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, why are we doing this? Because we fucking can. And I don't know what they're going to do with all of these facilities afterwards. they've built incredible infrastructure here, but is it just to let it rot and waste? I mean, that Malone might be another good documentary, is looking into World Cups gone by. Yo, did Italia 90, did all of those stadiums continue to be used, or did any of them just become like white elephants? Did USA 94? I mean, I'm sure the USA stadiums got used for whatever. But like, if you went through all of the World Cups, did all of those stadiums that they built in South Africa get used? I know, like, is it Manaus in Brazil 2014? That is now been reclaimed and is part of the jungle again. Like, do you know what I mean? That's what I think is going to be the fascinating one. B. Hughes says, like the China Olympics, Mexico are looking at buying one of their stadiums. How is it cheaper to buy a stadium and ship it over on a boat than it is to build one? Because you still got to build it, haven't you? Building materials that expensive that it's easier to just fucking dismantle a stadium, which is labour and cost and storage and transportation from the stadium to the port, and then putting it on a boat and then sailing that boat across a fucking ocean and hope it doesn't sink because you lose the little bolt that you need to hold the whole fucking thing together again, and then unload it at another dock, which is time and labour and storage, put it on cars and drive it to your building site. How the fuck is that cheaper than just building a stadium in sight? That's fucking bananas, innit? Abhinav says Brazil 2014 had a few wasted stadiums. Dylan says, peace out from Sydney, gotta go to work. Have a great day. Have a good one, mate. IR says, practically all World Cup stadiums in Doha, no chance they're all being used. Yeah. I mean, it's a bigger city than I thought it was, but it's still just one city. Ben says there's a rumour some stadiums will recycle after the World Cup. So where I went for the Brazil game, was it? Or the Portugal game? Portugal game. That stadium apparently is going to America after this. Deb says, regarding Asian football, I need to watch the derby between two Calcutta teams. 85,000 football, crazy people going against each other. Not great quality football, but the atmosphere is fantastic. That's what I would love to do. Like, for a long time, I saw a video that was the Dakar derby in Senegal, and I was like, Jesus, look at this now. I want to experience all that. I want to go to Argentina. I want to experience all of that shit. Right, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there because it is 1:20 in the morning here, and I'm up early to go and check out this academy over here in Doha. So that's what I want to do. If I can bring... Football is Eurocentric, right? And I think the World Cup showed us and shows us, you know, there's a lot of good football going on in Australia. I mean, Africa's just fucking awash with amazing football and amazing football culture as well. And I want to experience it because I don't think there's enough of it on our screens. I had a fucking right good time being in the crowd with the Senegalese fans. And I'd love to go to a local Senegalese match. Yes, the money's in Europe, so the players gravitate towards Europe, but you can't tell me football doesn't belong to West Africa and to South America and to Mexico and to Australia and to Korea and Japan and all of the places that have all been at the World Cup and the places that didn't qualify for the World Cup. It belongs to fucking everyone. And yes, I'm fortunate enough to be from a city which is a major player on the international scene in world football. But I think because of that, I want to go and experience not just the highest level in Senegal. Like tomorrow morning, I'm going looking at academy football in Doha. I want to see what it's all about. And I want to see everywhere in the world. From fucking Peru to Paraguay to Siberia, Japan. I'd go to fucking North Korea if I could get away with it. I'd probably think I was a spy and fucking lock me up, wouldn't it? But, you know, I want to go and experience all that sort of shit. If I could make my channel like a cross between fucking Vice and Derby Days from Copper Night, I'd be a very happy man. But anyway, have a good day, everybody. Hope you have a great day tomorrow. I guess it's pretty late over in the UK as well now, isn't it? Or wherever you are. If you're in Sydney going to work, unfucking lucky. Well, I'll catch you like in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.